always thought of myself as someone who was more than their art. But lately, I've been having a hard time watching the critics slowly tear my stories apart, and then go about judging the sharpness of every shattered fragment of my heart. Like, oh, he rhymes too much, he sounds too urban, his words aren't big enough, he's a little too cliche, so as my voice shakes, I'm reminded about how far from groundbreaking I really am. That I'm but a hairline fracture in terms of impact on this world with what I do, that rhyming words and saving kids is nothing different, it's nothing new. See, I get it. For someone who's so familiar with the feeling of never being enough, I should have known better than to depend on this. I don't remember the reason why I picked up a pen in the first place, and now not a day goes by where I don't feel like I should quit. But they told me to go back to the beginning.
So my name is Maimouna Mohammed. I'm 17 years old. Today was the first day I started the spoken word program here at Jane Shepherd Public Library. I was here the other day with my friend and we were just studying, and I seen the poster, and I took a form and I signed it and brought it back like the next day. I got introduced to everybody, Patrick and some of the library staff.
Before I was a spoken word artist, I was just a regular, straight up, middle class Filipino kid. I grew up all around Toronto and the GTA, so my family moved around a lot, and so I was just, my parents were separated at the time, so I was living in different locations around the city for most of my childhood. So who actually brought their notebook? You did? Yeah. But yeah, I mean, my parents didn't have a lot of money growing up, and there was like a lot of, domestic issues, I guess. Everyone's got their problems, and so I guess that would be considered as like an obstacle, but the way I kind of digested and interpreted all, or like the way I viewed the world and everything I went through, it was easy for me to cope with those things with art. I've always been trying to express myself and kind of get those feelings out in artistic ways. Today's 17th? 17th. Yeah? Sick.
No, I perform. Okay.
Oh, excuse me. You performed before.
Yeah.
Hey.
Okay, so where have you performed?
One time at an event and like twice like a school talent show, like last month at my school's Black Youth Assembly.
Yeah.
And one time during my summer job we had like a talent show at the end, so I performed there.
Sick. Okay, so what are you like? Have you been working with someone, or what kind of got you into writing it? Like,
I don't know. Like I just started writing like say like almost 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And then like I just kept and then like writing, and then I.
But like what have you seen of spoken word beforehand?
Well, I would watch like a lot of YouTube videos.
Oh, okay, so that's kind of where your reference was, right?
Yeah.
Like, do you ever attend any workshops or have any guest poets come to your classrooms, or no? So it's just been YouTube videos, huh? That's the roots, man. That's how we came up. In terms of my influences and how they kind of pushed me and encouraged me and inspired me to be spoken word, I mean, it was a lot of English teachers in the beginning. They were like, oh, like, you sound like a rapper, you should do poetry because it's a little more palatable and you'll swear less. And so that's kind of how it started. But then very soon in my career, I met this dude named Dwayne Morgan. You want to share a poem maybe later on?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, you do. Okay, great. So we'll do that as our little like treat before we leave. Okay. I'd love to hear something that you do. But what are you ready about now?
Well, I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah.
But it is some feelings I have.
Okay, cool. Just take a train of thought. Yeah, sure. I'll see where you're going. After I hit the mic the first time, Dwayne approached me and said, like, you've got something, like you're talented, you've got something I love to work on. And so ever since then, I became his mentee. Oh my gosh. Okay. She's one of those. Check this out. Okay. Whatever. Are you supposed to replace me? Am I being punked? Oh, wow. Great. Well, we could definitely work with you. Welcome to the program.
Oh, they love it. That's the one thing I learned about it.
He's yelling, please, man. Waving his hands in the air, he replied, take a look at my uniform. I'm a policeman. I can save your life or end it. I can actually do both with ease, man. When he asks, why, policeman? Why are you killing us for nothing? It's like saying, let's have a race only so you can treasure the finish line. And he could never finish in time because he would probably catch 6 bullets before I finish this rhyme. He's wondering how long the response time is as he bleeds out, but they're already here, watching him die. He was never a threat. He never threw gang signs. He's really just another criminal that never really committed crimes. His wife sobs and she mumbles, I'll meet you in the heavens one day with our daughters. All these lives cut short, heaven must be filled with our fathers. Jeez. Her white friend Kathy comes over to pay her condolences. She told her, Kathy, stop. I'm sick of all these performances. Don't talk to me like you know a house without Jerome feels like homelessness. She's like, wait, let me try to put myself in your shoes. But Kathy, that can't work because they won't fit. Because they're not the same size, and I know you try to make me feel better, but you lied, and it's all these lies that make history denied. Kathy apologizes and says, let me call my brother. He's a big-time lawyer. He can practically make a case against anyone, even the bravest warrior. She says, oh, Kathy, I can't seek justice from the Charter of Rights, because I'm black, and really it's the Charter of Whites.
Wow, thank you. Yeah!
Thank you.
Charter of Whites.
Don't kill me! It's over.
Great
I
job.
quit.
Congratulations, you want my job, so you have it now. I don't have that come back next week. This is great. This is the new facilitator. Just so you guys know, this is the new facilitator of the PSOL program because I quit after that.
Our stories never die. I was forged by sound, light, story, not a personification of egotistic glory. I just want, yearn, burn to unify myself. Reclamation of space, decolonizing systemic hate, choosing no longer to suffocate the truth. I am one of the coaches and mentors for the Poetry Saved Our Lives program. I don't really think there was a before spoken word because as an Indigenous person, I've always been exposed to the art of storytelling. So my grandmother and my grandfather would always share stories when I'd visit them in the summers. And my mother was a very good storyteller as well. I was always encouraged to read and to express my own storytelling skills. I like to talk about identity, decolonization, politicking, anything that has to do with women. So, you know, that could be a variety of things, relationships in general, the environment, so how are we taking care of the land or not taking care of the land and the water. You know, those are essential themes to me because that's what I deal with outside of poetry.
How it started, and now I know how it began. The two of us have parted, and now I'm shedding my old skin. You ask me where's my passion, I say it's in my flow.
As part of the project, all of the coaches have been asked to coordinate monthly open mics at the branches they represent. So the last Friday in every month is the Parliament open mic. And what I've tried to do is I've tried to structure it in the way that I would normally if I was asked to host an open mic in any venue.
5 minutes, we're gonna get started, we're gonna run a few more tunes. If you do wanna sign up, come and see me up here on the stage area and I'll add you to the open mic.
I'm really excited, and tonight is no exception. You know, we've got some heavy hitters coming through, so.
Not bad. Not bad. Slowly. It's my essence. Slowly try again, honey.
It's my essence.
Yeah. And
It's my essence and our essence.
no, it's my essence, and our essence is our power.
As a community, like Regent Park is, like the youth, have so much energy in this community, and I think a lot of it comes because it's one of those communities that's been really negatively stigmatized by the media as a, you know, it's just crime ridden and, you know, poverty and and just a lot of negativity, you know. And then these youth are just so driven by their passion to use their art to redefine the way people see them. They're really committed to this program. It means so much to them to be able to represent their community in this way. Yeah.
I'm a girl. I'm a girl.
I'm a girl.
I'm a girl.
We are unbrandable.
You can't put me in a box. I live on the edge. I'm a free spirit. You can't catch me, trap me, put me on a leash. I'm a bird,
Waiting to fly.
I'm a flower,
Waiting to bloom.
I'm the sun,
Ready to
shine. I'm the moon,
Ready to illuminate.
I am
A human being.
I'm a girl. I'm a girl.
I'm a girl.
I'm a girl.
We are unbrandable.
You can't label me. I'm covered by choice. I wear my hijab because I'm passionate about Islam. You'll assume I'm drowning in the sea of oppression.
You're so incredibly wrong.
Woo! I'm swimming freely toward the shore void. A society's
Misconceptions.
The world's
Perception.
A preconceived
Perceptions.
I will bear
Most of my sort of spoken word mentors were coming out of the hip hop culture, and particularly in Scarborough, Mishi Me and Maestro Fresh West were like two MCs that I really looked up to. Number one, they were just so honest. I think the idea of like people just really telling the truth in front of an audience was like, holy, you can do this and not like get arrested, and you know, that kind of thing. The energy, like I thought like people were really like grounded in their performance energy, and they just shook me in a way, like I just felt alive listening to their words and being in their presence. And they just really put seeds in my head about things I need to be thinking about as a young person. So, you know, issues that I should be thinking about and getting more active as a leader in my community.
See, in 2003, I was a thief for Halloween. Stealing, causing a commotion, and creating a scene. Throwing rocks at the innocent. Laughing back at those times I reminisce. That night, I made a big mistake. See, the cops pulled up and I could have ran away, but I chose not to. That choice left me in a cell overnight singing the blues. Being so young, we were just exposed to so much at the same time, you know? And a lot of things that some 14, 15-year-olds knew, we already knew at like 7, 8 years old, you know? And I found it very challenging to really have a space where I could express myself around other people who could feel the same thing, because what I realized was a lot of the people that we were growing up with causing trouble, you know, people just wanted to be heard and seen and felt. And life was really tough. It was really difficult because I got myself suspended many times growing up. I was arrested 3 times at 12 years old, you know, for some very intense crimes as well too, for a 12-year-old. And in grade 11 was I introduced to spoken word by an artist named Buna Muhammad at a conference. And that was when I realized that I really had a voice. And you know, when I seen Buna on that stage talk, he was literally talking my story about being an African Canadian male and some of the struggles that you go through.
For performance, who would like to start us off for the second?
When I perform, I'm quite a confident person, I could say, so I'm not too scared about it. The only thing I'd be scared about is being judged in a way, but before I go on, because all my poems are very personal, so it's a different way of letting people know what kind of person I am and what I've been through and how I'm growing from that. So before you go on, it's scary. It is, and you're scared and you're nervous because you're telling strangers about yourself. I wanted you, and I always will, yet I act like you're who I'm out to kill. Commit the sin for the thrill, but can't rejoice for the satisfaction I fulfilled. Act like you're dead to me, but still chill. No one can know we tight like stacked bills. And it was good until my feelings were real. I had to fake a smile like I owned a grill, just to hide the fact that I was mentally ill. I got into spoken word mostly because I'm like a music person. I'm always listening to music. I'm listening to music right now. Nobody knows though. But yeah,
just like rapping and stuff, I used to search up the lyrics a lot and try to rap it myself. And I got introduced to spoken word through my old school, and then when this program came through Poetry Saved Our Lives, our librarian Adele asked me to join because she knew I liked that kind of stuff. And I wasn't really too into spoken word yet, I was just kind of introduced to it, so I'm like, you know what, might as well. Don't tell me I can't believe, because I've been dreaming and I'm ready to succeed. It ain't about money, fame, or a dress, it's about following your dreams, staying current. There's so much stereotypes about this community, how it's such a bad community or whatever. But you know, there's people just trying to bring the goodness out of the community.
With the challenges that I've gone through, poetry, spoken word gave me an opportunity to really express what I was going through. And the day after I seen Buna was the first time I wrote my first spoken word poem. And I performed that in front of my school and got like so much love from people, and people just kept keep going. It's been 6 months ago that I've been working with them at Flemington Park. Their poems come from a place of like, hey, this is this negative experience that I've been through, but I've learned through it, and now I'm ready to share with the rest of the world and show the world that, hey, you can learn from your experiences too.
Rondell as a mentor is just like amazing. There's no words to describe how amazing he is.
My process as a facilitator really starts on like grounding themselves as who they are as people. I think when it comes to art, it's really important to have an idea of who we are.
Wow. You just know him, like, you feel like you don't even know him, but you know him, you know?
And this was called bingo.
You don't even realize like how many people there are in your community and how they can help you and you can help them. And it's a crazy experience because you meet so many new people that can help you.
Getting up on stage wasn't really hard for me. For me, I was more driven. I was like, you know, tell me what stage, what open mic in Toronto happens, and I'm gonna be there. And I was basically any open mic in the city sharing my poetry.
Megaphones are starting to sound like broken records, useless chants by young pawns obsessed with being kings. We're just had to be these necrophiliac Hannibal Lecters, harassing the corpses of our dead predecessors. There's a sucked away cloak, and you wonder why. The Eagles and the Falcons rarely do the street talk. What's the point of talking?
We're the only ones. Guys, come. Huddle.
So an example of like a young person who to me has really grown through this process, although I think they all have in their own way, would be, for example, at the Parliament branch, I would say Rabia.
Okay. Do I start?
When she first started, she was one of those youth who was quite quiet, you know, and she actually, one of the first things she said in the very first icebreaker exercise to me was like, I'm not a poet. Okay. She says, I'm a visual artist. I draw. And I'm like, okay, dope. And I'm like, so, you know, one of the ways that you could sort of think of poetry is like, it's a lyrical painting. So you draw visually, but poets, they draw orally, or they draw, you know, lyrically. So I want you to see what you normally see when you do visual things, but I want you to put that to words. So we did a lot of exercises where she got to write to like visual images. And when she got to do that, like stuff would start coming out. But then she even started moving a bit further than that and like actually working on an individual piece.
Okay, love is a sweet emotion. It makes you happy. It makes you excited when your lover comes home. But to her, it was the complete opposite. She felt love at one point. Then this love turned to hate. Now it's fear. Fear of you. It's like her definition of living cannot be retained anymore.
I don't really think I had fear. I think I actually enjoyed, like, I had exhilaration, like nervous butterflies or whatever. But I don't think I was ever scared. There were things in my personal life that were a lot more scary than performing in front of an audience, to be honest.
You think she will leave you because she doesn't know how to be alone. Well, believe me, when I say your wife is a warrior, she will break free, penetrate past your army of God-forsaken attacks, taking your children with her, leaving you to pick up the pieces of their broken lives.
It allowed me to write about the things that I couldn't actually say to the people that I should have been able to say it to, and to express parts of myself that I wasn't able to show because I wasn't in an environment that accepted those parts of myself. So in terms of building my own self-awareness and my own clarity of identity and voice and purpose, that's what poetry gave me.
We were told to come just to the Toronto Reference Library as it was like a program, and I didn't really know what was going on. I actually had no idea. And then I realized that we were supposed to perform, so I didn't want to at first because it was a lot of people and I've never performed other than our group, our little program that we do at the library. So when I just thought, you know, it's a good chance to practice, and I decided to perform last week.
Please put your hands together for Liza.
Okay. I wanted you and I always will, yet I act like you're who I'm out to kill. Commit the sin for the thrill, but can't rejoice for the satisfaction I fulfill. Act like you're dead to me, but still chill. No one can know we tight like stacked bills. And it was good until my feelings were real. I had to fake a smile like I owned a grill, just to hide the fact that I was mentally ill. I did it so much that it became a skill. Now people can't tell when I'm being for real. Thinking my life is ideal, like red-bottom Louboutin heels. But I'm not complaining, I come home to meals. But just cause someone has it worse doesn't mean you can't bend to deal. So let me tell you how I feel. I want someone to imprint memories like a fossil. Look past the dirt to find something colossal. Make themselves more vital than my bones. I'm so tired, I wanted more and feeling so alone. Love to me is unknown cause it was never shown. Lately I've been searching for the right things and the wrong people. Guess you could say my efforts are feeble. Been avoiding feelings like they're lethal cause it comes with consequences like laws that are illegal. But I'd rather fight like a lawyer than assist like a paralegal. So start worrying about yourself, don't worry about other people.
Love is a sweet emotion. It makes you happy. It makes you excited when your lover comes home. But to her, it was the complete opposite. She felt love at one point. Then this love turned to hate. Now it's fear. Fear of you. It's like her definition of living cannot be retained anymore. Once, you gave her the exhilarating sensation of stepping on the moon. Now, you left a massive crater in her heart.
I think it's really tough because, you know, on that same tangent of vulnerability, you know, you're given this platform to be vulnerable, to explore and share what you have to say, but at the same time, you're being judged for how well you express yourself, right? Or how well you do in a slam. And I think it can be very nerve-wracking because, you know, you're giving somebody an opportunity to judge you and give you like a 5, which when you feel you deserve more than that, you know, when you get on stage, everybody probably thinks they deserve a 10 because that's your story. That's a part of you, and you want to be judged for the best part of you.
It was exciting to share some of my things for the first time. The amount of support and like the love Rondell showed me, I was like, it felt amazing for sure.
Poetry in Toronto has very deep roots, going back decades. Spoken word in particular has a lot of trademarks and individuals who have sort of led the city when it comes to spoken word poetry. The opportunity to communicate through words and emotion with other people is one of the basic foundations for being human. And so there's a wide spectrum of poets and artists from all different races, all different backgrounds, all different identities, really coming together with the love of spoken word and using that as a catalyst for community change in Toronto.
Just around all the sound of screaming silence, and you shall surely lose the peaceful war. That excited boredom, passion, realistic fantasy. As the dark light leads you to your friendly enemy.
9.1. 9.1.
9.
And a 9 makes some noise.
Lately I've been searching for the right things and the wrong people.
Guess you could say my efforts are feeble, been avoiding feelings like they lethal, cause it comes with consequences like laws that are illegal. But I'd rather fight like a lawyer than assist like a paralegal. So stop worrying about yourself, don't worry about other people.
We're coming up to the stage right now. Please make some noise for Maymuna!
So this piece, it's called Uniform. If wearing no clothes is illegal and wearing too much is oppressing, does Prime Minister Harper plan on implementing a uniform, maybe a uniform that would stop airport security from checking? Maybe one day. And maybe one day I'll be able to read minds. But if I could read minds, this is what I would hear at job interviews most of the time. Look, I know you have hair, but unfortunately, I can't hire you because I can't see it. And I know I have hair, but that's a cross laying on your chest, so please correct me if Mother Mary's hair was left bare. I don't think so. And maybe that's the problem. Maybe I shouldn't think at all. Maybe I should let you think for me. Maybe I should let you blame every misfortune I encounter on my outfit. Or maybe I should think, fuck you, because I am the capable woman you doubted.
My choices are mine to make. My decisions are mine to take. So I can mold my future like sculpture's clay. I am focused and determined like tiger stalking for prey.
My ideal is royal to me, was conceived majestically,
enabling me to fulfill a destiny. This is deeper than mere words on paper.
My power, my power, my power,
My power is my essence, and our essence is our power. You can't put me in a box, you can't label me, you can't find me, you can't kill me.
I'm a girl,
I'm a girl, I'm a girl, I'm a girl.
we are unbrandable.
9.8. 9.7. Okay, I'm going to quickly announce the top 7 poets. Sapiso, Sabrine, Michelle Lynn, Sarah Collins, and Maymuna. Make some noise, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Poetry saved our lives. See you next month.
Spoken word is so important to me in terms of my self-confidence because that's what I kind of use as the vehicle. You know, because I was relatively a confident kind of person, but that was kind of more of a facade that I had to kind of show to defend myself in the environment that I was growing up in.
When they were surprised that I spoke fluent English, imagine their faces when I told them I spit flames. They didn't believe me. I was supposed to be the quiet nerd who fast-tracked through math class, a submissive servant, genetically worthless, sweeping the floors, fading into the background like my ancestors before.
I'm the one behind the mic, but a lot of the times I'm addressing myself, and it's like these are affirmations, these are reminders that I'm giving myself that I should keep going, that I am enough, that what I am doing is enough, and I have the potential to succeed.
When I see them rehearse, I see them like they were having fun while rehearsing, so I kind of took that away. So like I should enjoy it more often instead of taking it much more seriously. Like it doesn't have to be, I should enjoy it. So that's what I really learned from seeing them rehearse. Like I use their poems as like a guiding hand kind of now, like because now I can see them like, oh, this is like what I need to do. Like I need to make it like up to this level. I need to put up to there. Yeah. We're from Somalia, and my parents, they escaped from a very violent civil war, and they came into Canada, and like they've traveled before they came here, but you hear the story about like parents starting a new life, a better life for their children, and I'm experiencing that, and I've experienced it my whole life, so that's where I draw like a lot of my influence. Like I'll write about opportunities and like just like because my parents missed out on a lot when they had to leave. Like they had nice lives back home. They had the education, the nice house and everything. And when they had to like come to the new country, it's like they had to start from scratch. And like it's like a sense like it feels like it's unfair to them. Poetry is a really great medium for me to express like these feelings and these thoughts and everything that I'm angry about, because I really I get to share it. So people the more I share my poetry, the more I perform a spoken word, like people, they'll understand more because it's more in detail, it's more in depth, it's from my perspective. So it's not always like what they see on the news, like that's all they see. But then when they get to hear someone talk about it and like how it affects them, they can realize more. And I feel like it's easier to reach people that way.
As we got to working closer and closer together and mentoring her one-on-one a little more, I started to realize though that she was really at a fragile and vulnerable place in her life. I mean, she's just finishing high school. She was figuring out who she was and what she wanted to do with her future. And it was easy to see that fear and that vulnerability, and just to kind of see yourself in that feeling too. But to watch her overcome it, to watch her surpass all expectations and limitations that she had, whether it was in her school or her family or her neighborhood, it was just inspiring.
It takes a lot of dedication for these poets to get up on stage and to share their truth, to open up their vulnerability, to be who they are. Being up here is not easy. So poetry has a lot to do with energy. So if y'all give, y'all will receive. Y'all feel me?
Yeah.
So,
reciprocity.
So I want y'all just like we're gonna make a lot of noise real quick. So y'all just make some noise for the hell of it.
When you see those youth that you've been mentoring actually get into it, and now they're succeeding in a really good way, and they were really shy and now they're really outspoken, or they never dealt with this particular issue before but now they're talking about it, and this is a youth that you've supported, right, that you've helped unlearn certain things that were maybe stifling their creativity, especially from the school system, which I can honestly say is a big part of why it takes such courage for poets to become who they are, because you're so conditioned in the school system not to use this art form in the way that you will eventually use it. And it just makes you know that you've done a great job when they come back and now they're mentoring somebody else. So now someone else is following them the same way that you got followed, and the cycle continues. So it's that idea of looking, in our Haudenosaunee teachings, looking 7 generations to the past and 7 generations forward anytime you make a decision. So I'm consciously making a decision when I'm putting stuff out there that I want that next 7 to come to me and see how can I help you get to where you need to get to so that you can be ready for the next 7. So passing on that sense of legacy within this art form.
Please make some noise for Maymuna! All right, Toronto.
Do it up.
When I was a little girl, every fairy tale storybook I ever opened up had a white princess, a white prince, and some damn animals. It wasn't until later that I realized that you had to have a specific certification to be portrayed as royal, and I was never licensed in being Caucasian. There were no classes. You had to be born with entitlements.
Judges, I would ask you guys to please raise your scorecards. Okay, so we have an 8. Let them know. We have an 8.6, 8.8, a 9.3, and our night's first 10.
In first place with a 29.2, please make some noise for Maymuna. It's funny because a lot of people, for all of their youth organization type fundraisers, always say, oh guys, the youth is our future. And I'm like, look at them. Tell me you wouldn't want our youth to be our present.
Oftentimes in the slam world, it's about you're seen as an individual, like representing yourself. But in fact, how you got there was from support from a larger team of people that may not be visibly seen while you're on stage reading this piece of poetry or presenting it, but they were there.
I can say I got really involved with Toronto's spoken word community about 3.5 years ago through Rise and getting to know other initiatives that were happening and other open mics that were happening around the city. So from the time that I really got into it, what I've seen is community, like more than anything, community. People come together to hear stories about each other. People come together with their art to better themselves, to heal, to learn. Like spoken word is such a powerful, powerful art form. And I've seen it literally transform people. I think where spoken word is heading now is in a very progressive state.
And it's really important because, you know, thoughts are energy, but words really are so much more.
And these young people are coming in with more opportunities. You know, you have initiatives that are happening in Ajax, Scarborough, Etobicoke, so like it's really spreading across the city in a sense. And I think in the next like 5-10 years, it's gonna blow up. This initiative is, you know, one of a kind. There's nothing like it in Canada, and I think what the library has been able to do really needs to live beyond Pan Am, to be completely honest, because these youth were here before Pan Am, and they're still going to be here after Pan Am. And as long as these youth know that they have a safe space they can go to with an artist, with resources that support them, and a place that they can truly express themselves, the world is going to be a better place.
This is our closing circle. It would be great to hear from people in terms of their experiences with the Poetry Saved Our Lives project. You know, how do you feel now, you know, in terms of your poetry? You know, how do you feel like being able to represent the communities that you're from, the neighborhoods that you're from?
I don't know how to say it. It was like something I could look forward to every Friday. And like I'm trying to be more independent, which like it's kind of hard as like a, you know, like a Muslim girl and stuff like that. Yeah. So like it was like a way to like channel my like anger through like writing and stuff. Yeah. Usually I'll just say it to my friends and they're just like, it's okay, it's okay. Like they would know. They would know. I always tell them like stuff over Facebook and then whenever like we like meet up and stuff. But like it's a way for me to just like put it in through writing. Yeah. And like yeah, it's like I don't know, it just like feels good.
That's good.
Yeah.
So I know like you were one of, you know, the youth that was really resistant, like yeah man, like the first couple of sessions I was like, I don't even know if this girl's gonna write anything. Because you kept saying, oh, I'm a visual artist, I draw, I don't write. And then, but you know, you obviously had like some real like things that you needed to get out. And you know, I still think that piece that you dropped at like the semis, the terrorism piece, I still think it was amazing.
Seriously?
I touched it.
You should be really proud of yourself. You did an excellent job. And how did you feel about representing Region, you know, because Region killed it at like the competitions, you know?
It was so much fun, like whenever we at the semis, whenever like we did cheer for like Sammy, for example, then everyone cheered, like we cheered, then everyone cheered. Like, we're just cheering for her because she's our friend, we're trying to support her, and then everyone just starts cheering afterwards.
When Maymuna and I met at the Jane and Shepherd library, she came in guns blazing. She had a notebook with poems already in it, and she loved the culture, and like she didn't know what exactly she was doing, but she knew that she loved writing and needed the space to do it. It was easy for her to become part of the team very quickly. All she had was a pad and a pen. Like the program's free, which is awesome because all she had was that, and she'd be able to transform from, you know, someone who was just kind of like, you know, like a rhyme slinger and like who just kind of like, you know, throwing stuff all over the place to becoming this, you know, this beautiful, intelligent, intentional spoken word artist, and performing in front of thousands of people at the Roots show. For her to make that transformation within months is incredible, and there's like nothing stopping her now. I'm just really excited. The Uncharted, the group of poets, Patrick Walters, Joshua Scribe Watkins, and myself are about to perform and open for the Roots at Nathan Phillips Square in Toronto in front of thousands of people. This is nothing like any of us has ever done before.
Nathan Phillips Square, make some noise! Come on, make some noise! Woo! Yeah! Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we are a spoken word collective. We are called The Uncharted. Thank you very much for having us. We're really honored. Thank you. We've always been a hop, skip, and jump away from greatness.
When living in quicksand, you lose faith that a movement could save you.
When you are outstanding just to survive, you can't just live by the standards they gave you.
You have to be more. Because it wasn't long ago when black folk had to pole vault to get the vote.
How much coal could a colored boy deadlift in a mine shaft before he chokes on smoke?
How many borders have we spent past for refuge and hope?
How many black boxes have we hurdled to keep the fire stoked? And now we run with the torch. As a young token Asian, I was picked last for most big kid games. When they were surprised that I spoke fluent English, imagine their faces when I told them I spit flames. They didn't believe me.
And when it comes to sprint records, Usain Bolt has everyone, showing us that to chase our dreams, sometimes we have to run.
Serena plays the game with a rub that raises a racket and serves backhands to her critics like a monarch ruling her bracket.
And Manny Pacquiao, a Filipino fighter who uppercut the sun up, reminding a nation it's a time to be humble and a time to keep your gloves up. It isn't so much the glory.
It is more so the struggle.
Where climbing feels like crawling and one chooses to hustle. 3 part-time jobs and a college degree, turning a green card into a PhD. Minimum wage support a 10-person family, raising other kids to support your own. Leaving for work before the sun and it still beats you home. Wearing a second-hand suit just to be more than their position. Double shifts in a taxi cab and somehow staying driven. We must never forget. The preservation of greatness is not in the dust of trophy cases.
It is in the blood, sweat, and tears dried up in the pavement.
Every smile you make a movement. Every breath you take a revolution.
It is written in your own bones, your own veins of the blueprint.
So prove it to yourself.
And do not be discouraged by how far back you have started.
When they're running the same old lines, you must trailblaze through the margins.
Our parents came from unknown lands and proved that home is where the heart is.
It wouldn't be the passing down of torches if our path was not uncharted.
Yo, that's not enough noise. Like, I need to hear more. Are you guys here tonight? Yeah! So my name is Maymuna Muhammad. I'm gonna perform a poem today. When I was a little girl, every fairy tale storybook ever opened up had a white princess, a white prince, and some damn animals. It wasn't until later that I realized that you had to have a specific certification to be portrayed as royal, and I was never licensed in being Caucasian. You see, there were no classes. You had to be born with entitlement. And I stared into these big screen TVs reflecting these royal images. I could never figure out why Disney princesses never reflected me. Ghetto princess. I used to dream of having hair like Rapunzel, denying my difficult curls, unaware that they're only mirroring a difficult history. I used to straighten my hair every day in middle school. Every time I applied heat to a black spiral, I felt as if I just burnt down a white rival. I never knew such an admiration for Rapunzel would lead to self-disapproval. How come I aspired to be Aryan? And how come my dad was denied a job at Apple? Is it because he can't speak English like Steve, or because his skin is considered poisonous because it's not Snow White? I have all these questions and none end happily. Could I live underwater like Ariel? I wish, because then I'll be able to encounter all the lost souls thrown over. And if you believe in reincarnation, then you could probably foreshadow the story of how Jamaica met a crab. But what about Princess Tiana? She's black. Princess Tiana had to kiss animals before she was good enough for a lighter man. Don't tell me I'm still represented. Princess Tiana's a token that can only be used to play at Chuck E. Cheese. But maybe if I caught some more beauty sleep, someone would find me attractive. But you know, pretty girls can't sleep on their own. They require the help of a man drugging them first. And don't be alarmed when you wake up to a man kissing you. It only happens to the most beautiful princesses. And when Disney's first African princess is white, you realize you're not the little girl anymore. You don't want to be a Disney princess, because girls like you were born as kings. Thank you.
Toronto, Ontario. North surrounding areas, just to let you know. Right about now, you're rocking with the best, that's right.
The people don't come because
and you are all
don't play shit that they like.
in tune